well, let's officially get started. So I guess this is our session 2. I usually start by asking if there are any questions about anything from session 1. Since there's a couple people here live, I can pause for just a moment. But hopefully you've had a chance to work on figuring out where you're going to apply, when your deadlines are and when the earliest one is, what all the colleges require if you need to write a personal statement, which most of you probably do. And I'll assume that if you're here today, you do. And hopefully you've also started requesting your letters of recommendation and created a Common App account. One thing we didn't talk about last time was the activities list. I sort of mentioned it, but so the Common App will ask you to fill in, I think they give you space for up to 10 extracurricular activities that you can fill in there. And they give you space to include leadership roles or awards or any of those things. And they also ask you how many hours per week and weeks per year on average you spent doing that activity. So I put these instructions in the follow-up info from last year, from last session. But hopefully that makes sense. You don't have to fill out 10, but if you have 10 things, then you might as well put them on there. The more they can learn about you, the better. Okay, so today we're talking about the personal statement, and that's going to be the focus for most of the rest of these sessions. Of course, also answering any questions you might have. So you may have this handout. You should also be able to see it on the screen here. But I made this for you so you can follow along and add any notes that you might want to add along the way. So what is it? This personal statement, personal essay. Yeah, I think there are a couple other handouts as well that will be part of what you'll use for your homework for this session. So what is it? The personal statement. It's basically your essence on paper in 650 words or less. Totes NBD, right? This is not a standard essay that you're used to from English class, nor is it a resume. This is its own special, unique thing. And most schools are going to require it. It's going to matter a lot at smaller schools, schools that look at applications holistically, or bigger schools if you're like on the border. I mentioned this last time, like if they're deciding between you and another applicant who are very, very similar in terms of test scores and GPA and all that stuff, then it can often come down to letters of recommendation and personal statements. So it can make a big difference. They estimate it counts for between like 10 and 30% of like what is considered in the application as a whole. So it's not a standard English essay. It's not a resume. It's who you are on paper in 649 words. Admissions officers are looking for 3 things. Who is this person beyond transcript and test scores? They want to admit a person, not just a set of numbers. So they really want to feel like they've gotten to know you through this essay. Like the tone or like the feeling for the person reading it should be like, if somebody who didn't know you yet, but that like you wanted to like get to know well, or you wanted to know you well, like if you sat down for coffee and chatted for like an hour, like they should know you decently well. That's what you're supposed to kind of accomplish in this short essay. 2, will this person contribute something of value to our community? And if so, what? How might our community be made a little better because of this person? That's what admissions officers are sort of asking themselves. How are you going to contribute? Like, what are you going to bring? What's it going to feel like to have you around? And then 3rd, can this person think and write? Beyond the content in the essay, they want to see clear, deep thinking and strong, clean writing. To put them all together, they want to read something with personality that shares who you are and what you care about. And they want to know you can communicate decently well in writing. Any questions so far? Okay, so those are the three purposes. Like that's what your essay is trying to accomplish. In order to do that and to do it really well, your personal statement must show your core values, provide insights, like or things that you learned, be vulnerable by sharing personal information, including emotions, desires, and flaws, and demonstrate strong writing craft. And these four things should all be done in one unique, focused personal essay, an exploration of some aspect or experience from your life. So the first two things on that list are things that we're going to be working on together for sure. I'll help you generate ideas for those and understand what we mean. Number three, be vulnerable. This doesn't mean, this is not to say like, it shouldn't read like you're talking to a therapist, okay? It doesn't, or a counselor or something like that. It's not like that vulnerable, but it does need to have some sense of like revealing yourself. If you go back to the first thing on the purpose, it's to show them who the person is. So you don't show who you are by just like robotically stating things about yourself, right? You share a little bit of intimate details. Again, not the most intimate, but like things that maybe not everyone knows about you. And maybe that's a good time to mention that these essays are confidential. Like obviously the admissions officers will read them. They don't share them like with the college community. If you share your essay with me, which I'll be encouraging you to do, of course, I don't share it with anyone. Mrs. Hollister won't share it with anyone. As we're brainstorming and stuff like that, I might invite you to share some stuff, but often, not always, but often these essays end up becoming like pretty personal topics that you don't really want to share with everyone in your class or everyone who comes to these meetings, and that's totally fine. That may be a good sign that you're getting that appropriate level of vulnerability. And then, of course, for strong writing craft. So that means editing, but also taking the time to like think deeply and distill your ideas down into something really concise. 650 words might sound like a lot to some of you. It is not very much once you start generating material and really trying to communicate like your soul on paper. So this should be a very concise, like dense, meaty writing. Okay, so how do we do this? Step one, figure out what your core values are and brainstorm ideas about what your onlyness factors are. What we mean there is like, what makes you different from every other student applying with similar test scores, grades, and extracurriculars? What makes you unique? Step two, decide on a particular story or angle you can use to reveal those things. So in the essay, you need to not only tell us what makes you unique, but show them to us with details and stories from your life, right? Like anyone can say, I'm really compassionate. Like, okay, that's nice. Like, I don't really believe you until you back that up with at least a story. They're not going to be able to like peek behind the paper, so to speak, and like actually confirm if you did these things. But like at the very least, you should be able to tell me a story that shows me that you were compassionate. Okay, so this is no easy feat. Like if you've been listening thus far today and are like, whoa, okay, this sounds intimidating. That makes sense. And I want you to have a little like some proper respect for the challenge ahead of you because I don't want you to overdo it, but like this is something that you should put a little time and effort into for sure, perhaps more than you typically do on a writing assignment. And I'm sure not all of you love to like dive into the depths of your soul, but like I've been doing this for a lot of years and there's a lot of like personal insight and even like spiritual growth that can come out of this process if you lean into it. So I encourage you to do that. And It is challenging, but that's why I'm here to help you every step of the way, or Mrs. Hollister and or both. So I'm going to share some brainstorming exercises next and ways to begin narrowing down your focus to a couple of potential topics. But pretty soon this will become an individual adventure. So if you want to be able to get my help, and again, I strongly recommend that you do, you'll need to share a Google Doc with me where you'll do all your work on your personal statement. And then you can also share it with Mrs. Hollister and get twice as much help. Let's see. One thing I'm going to add right now is that you may have noticed that Common App and other platforms have prompts. They have essay prompts. If you look at those, you'll notice that they're all pretty open-ended. And like for the Common App, the last one is write on anything that you want to write about. So you should definitely not feel limited to those prompts. And you should also keep in mind that like for some people, those prompts can be like helpful starting points to like get ideas flowing. But for a lot of people, they're kind of weird questions and they don't end up being the most helpful. So what I recommend is ignoring them. If you write any essay that shows who you are on paper and has these 4 things we just talked about, you will be answering at least one of those prompts. And that's what the college essay guy recommends as well. And he's the like acknowledged master of all these things. So most of what I'm sharing with you is pulled directly from there or adapted from there. Any questions so far? You're not muted, but I also can't hear any noise or background noise.
Okay.
There
Can
you
you
go.
hear us?
Yes.
Okay. I would just ask, I know that a lot of you guys, I think, worked on some form of draft or essay in your junior year.
Yeah.
So by show of hands, does anybody have content from that you feel like is a starting point? Like where are we? That you two, what about you guys? You're juniors, so you will be doing it. I'm so glad you're here because this is such a great time to get all this information. Okay, so the guys have,
It's
the
like
gentlemen have a start on some things potentially.
we wrote essays for each of the Common App prompt, like each week. So we have like full essays, but I'd say for me, I feel like I don't know, they could be better, but I don't really know how to go about improving them, like making them feel more genuine.
Okay. Can you, I don't know if you can turn the screen at all. Like I can just see, I think one person. Or yeah, okay. That's fine. I'm assuming that was Will talking.
It
What,
was, yep.
how did you, just curious, like what made you do that? Did you just do that on your own or?
After JREX in speech class, Miss Ross each week, she had us like spend 1 week on this Common App prompt, 1 week on this Common App prompt. Thank you, Miss Ross.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
So, yeah, I
Well,
have like a folder
yeah.
of 6 essays.
So I would say like that could provide you with a lot of useful brainstorming material. It could be that one of those essays could turn into, it could be that that might be like a rough draft of something that will turn into a great final draft. For other people, you might end up feeling like you've changed since then, or just nothing that interesting came out of it. So I'd encourage you to like approach it with an open mind of like, this is brainstorm material, and if I'm lucky, maybe it'll be more, but like still do the brainstorm process. And I think that will definitely help you make them more personal. What did you say they weren't yet?
Human, kinda.
Genuine? Yeah. Which kind of goes into that number 3, like be vulnerable, that kind of thing. Any other comments or questions? Okay, so we can, I wasn't sure how quickly things would move, but we can, if you have your computers, you can do some of these things now, or if you have the handouts. Do we have the handouts?
We do.
Cool. Then we can maybe just go ahead and do the values exercise together, but just to remind you to put your results into a Google Doc. So I mean, if you want to keep it in a folder and share the folder with us, so that the folder has multiple documents in it, that's fine. Or just put everything into one document from now, and it's like your brainstorming document. So I always use the metaphor for my writing students of like, dump all the dirt, all the mess in one place, like just gather material, raw material, and then you'll sort through it to like pick out the nuggets of gold that you want to use in whatever you're writing. So you'll need to create a Google Doc or folder, share it, and then complete the values exercise. I'm trying to think if there's anything else valuable I should talk to you about right now, but let's just talk about this. So you have the handout. This is from the college essay guy, but here's what he means and what I mean by values. A value would be something that is extremely important to you, something you find fascinating, that you love to learn about, or you like to spend a lot of time doing. It could be something that you want more of in your life. Especially in high school, that one could be a good one because you're like, well, I really love music, but I don't have time for it, or whatever it is. Something that you think is essential for a well-lived life. If you're like, you can try to use that looking back at your life, at your own funeral kind of exercise of like, when I think about what a well-lived life is, like it has to include these things. Or it could be an area of passion, like something that you want to see change, like something that you could see yourself working to change. So of course, like JREX topics could potentially fit in there. And you should also have spots to write in a couple of options if you don't see something on the handout, or feel free to like adjust the wording. If there's like a word that you like the idea, but you would put it differently, yeah, this is for you. It's also going to ask if you know what you want to do as a career, but it's totally fine if you don't know that yet. If you do, that's another great piece of data. I'll let you work for just a minute, but before that, out of people who are there, maybe y'all can let me know, like, how many of you have a pretty good idea of what you want to do or what you want to study? Will, I see a Will hand.
Gary and Sydney and Verity, do you know? Oh, she was just asking if you had a good idea of what you wanted to do as a career. Yes, all of them. All of them have
Oh, wow.
some idea. Okay.
Okay, well then you'll include that as well. So I'll give you a few minutes. The idea here is not to take too long. Just go with your instincts. You can always change it later.
You guys all have this paper. What do I value with the little check boxes? Okay. You need something to write with here. Thank you.
Okay, I think we're gonna wrap up pretty soon. So obviously you can take more time on this later. How's it going? Has anyone narrowed it down to your top 3?
I see one of them shaking her head. Sydney's got it.
One tip that I like to share, if you're having trouble narrowing them down, like once you've picked kind of, or I guess another way I've done it is like have you narrow it down. Yeah. It says your top values. So another way to do it is just like check all the ones that feel super, super important and then start narrowing it down to 10 and then 5 and then 3. he asks you to get to one, so you can try for that. One tip I like when you're trying to narrow it down is to see if you can combine or like group several of your values. So maybe you had, I don't know, vulnerability and close relationships. Well, are those kind of like two sides of the same coin or two parts of the same thing? You know, could that become one value that encompasses all of that for you? Okay, something I might add, I might send you a sample essay to read since you're getting this part done right now, to help you start thinking about different kinds of essays. But another brainstorming exercise that's really quick that we could do in 60 seconds before we wrap up for today would be to write down things that you love and or know. So things that you love, that could be anything from like the beach, Oreos, you know, like anything, deep or shallow or big or small. And then I know are things that you could go on and on about. Like, what could you talk to someone about for 15 minutes without doing any research, right? So if you're up for it, you could even just write it on the back of that values exercise piece of paper. Like, I know ... and write down the first 10 things that come to mind. I love ... the first 10 things that come to mind. And so for those of you who do have an idea of what you want to do with your life in a work or major sense, then that third page of the values exercise handout is for you. It's just matching values with important qualities for your intended career. This is another piece of data that can be used in your essay. So your homework for this week to move you forward on your personal essay is to finish this values exercise, also complete the roles and identities exercise. Shouldn't take too long. Put all your results in that shared Google document or folder. And if you already have drafts or an idea for a personal statement, that's great to put in that document too, so we can consider that and see if it seems like it'll be a useful topic to get you to that personal statement that shows your core values, provides insight, is vulnerable, and demonstrates strong writing. Any questions for today?
I don't think so. It looks like the students are arriving for the next class.
Yeah.
I can forward the kids anything else that you have for them, but they all have copies of all the documents and the handouts from today.
Great.
And thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay.
See you next time.